Broke on Purpose: The High Cost of Living for the Moment. Produced by the School of Self-Development. Introduction: The price of living for the moment. You only live once. It's the go-to motto for impulsive purchases, extravagant vacations, designer splurges, and maxed-out credit cards. It sounds bold, brave, even wise, if you squint hard enough. But underneath the hype of hashtags and highlight reels lies a deeper truth. YOLO is not a strategy. This audiobook is a wake-up call for those lured into the illusion of spending today without thinking about tomorrow. It's not a sermon, it's a survival guide. We'll explore real stories of people who lived fast and spent faster, and what happened when the bills came due. Then, we'll break down smart, simple strategies for building a future you don't have to escape from. Because yes, you only live once. But what if you could live that one life with freedom, options, and peace of mind? Chapter 1. Swipe now, cry later. Meet Jeremy. Fresh out of college, Jeremy had what most would consider a dream start. He landed a solid job at a marketing firm, moved into a sleek downtown apartment, and even treated himself to a brand new car. Leased, of course, because buying outright just wasn't realistic. He furnished his space with trendy furniture, dined at upscale restaurants every weekend, and always had the latest tech gadgets. To him, this was adulting done right. But beneath the surface, Jeremy was living in a financial fantasy, one swipe at a time. He justified every expense with a smirk and a shrug. I work hard. I deserve it. And his favorite phrase? You only live once. The problem was that Jeremy had confused lifestyle with financial security. He believed that success was about appearing successful. His $4,000 couch wasn't just a couch. It was proof to his social circle that he had made it. His weekend trips and designer watches were badges of pride, and every time he received praise or admiration from friends or followers online, he felt validated. What Jeremy didn't see coming was reality. The illusion of arrival. It's a trap so many fall into, the belief that once you land your first real job, you've arrived, that it's finally time to spend freely. And sure, there's nothing wrong with celebrating milestones, but the problem is when that celebration becomes a lifestyle that your bank account can't sustain. Jeremy's income couldn't keep up with his habits. His rent alone ate up nearly half his paycheck. Between his car lease, credit card payments, subscriptions, daily coffee runs, and monthly shopping splurges, he was treading water financially, and didn't even realize it. He told himself he'd start saving later, that he'd start budgeting next month, that he was still young and had time to figure it out. Then came the layoff. After a company restructuring, Jeremy's department was cut. No warning, no severance, just a final paycheck and a handshake. Within 3 weeks, Jeremy couldn't pay rent. Within 2 months, his credit card minimums went unpaid. His car was repossessed. And for the first time since graduation, he had to move back in with his parents, shocked, ashamed, and broke. The emotional cost of avoidance. It wasn't just the financial collapse that broke Jeremy. It was the emotional toll, the anxiety, the guilt, the shame of having looked so put together, yet being completely unprepared. He felt like a fraud, like he had been living in a costume labeled success, when underneath he was drowning in denial. What stung the most? No one came to help. The likes, the compliments, the people who praised his lifestyle. None of them were around when he needed support. The performance had ended, and the crowd had moved on. The turning point. Rock bottom became Jeremy's wake-up call. He realized something powerful. The goal isn't to live like you're rich. The goal is to be rich, rich in freedom, rich in peace, rich in options. With the help of his older brother, who lived modestly but owned a home outright, Jeremy began learning how money really works. He read books, took online courses, and started working a side job just to make ends meet. He sold most of his designer items and downgraded his lifestyle completely. But for the first time in his life, he felt empowered. Building back smarter. It wasn't easy. Jeremy spent over a year rebuilding his finances. He learned to track every dollar. He built a small emergency fund. He began investing consistently, even if it was only $50 a month. And most importantly, he redefined what success meant to him. He no longer needed approval. He didn't chase aesthetics. He prioritized ownership over image. Now, in his early 30s, Jeremy is back on his feet, working in a new role, saving aggressively, and even mentoring others who are stuck in the cycle he once lived. Lesson: living in the moment should never come at the cost of sabotaging your future. Credit cards make it easy to ignore reality. Social media makes it easy to feel behind. Culture makes it easy to justify poor decisions. But none of those things will save you when the unexpected hits. What will? A plan, a cushion, a mindset rooted in discipline, not denial. Reflection. Think about your last major purchase. Was it driven by need or by mood? What emotions triggered it? Excitement? Insecurity? Validation? Now ask yourself, what did it cost you beyond the price tag? True power is not in what you swipe, it's in what you keep. Chapter 2. The false high of spending. Meet Erica. Erica had a decent job in customer support and made enough to live comfortably. Yet she often felt empty. Her solution? Shopping. Every time she felt anxious, bored, or even slightly sad, she opened her favorite retail apps: Amazon, Zara, Sephora. Her phone was like a drug dealer, offering her tiny bursts of excitement disguised as add to cart. She called it self-care. Her bank account called it a slow bleed. A new pair of shoes made her feel unstoppable for a few hours. A fancy purse gave her confidence until she realized rent was due. Erica wasn't unaware. She knew she was overspending. But the temporary high was too tempting to resist. In fact, it was one of the few things that made her feel in control. It took a moment of shame in a checkout line when her debit card was declined buying groceries for it to click. She broke down crying in her car that night. The mask had cracked. The science behind the spend. This isn't just emotional, it's biological. Shopping activates the brain's reward center, flooding it with dopamine, the same chemical that spikes when we eat junk food, win a prize, or fall in love. That rush is what makes shopping feel so good, for a moment. But here's the trap. When the high wears off, reality hits harder. Debt, regret, anxiety. To escape the crash, many chase the high again, spending more to cover up the damage of past spending. It becomes a vicious loop. Spend, feel good. Regret. Spend again. The lie we tell ourselves. Erica used to tell herself, I work hard. I deserve this. Yes, you do deserve joy. But here's the truth. Joy doesn't have to cost interest. Doesn't have to sabotage your future for you to feel good today. Spending money isn't evil. But spending without boundaries is a form of self-sabotage. It's like drinking salt water. It never truly quenches your thirst. The shift. After Erica's breakdown, she started journaling every time she felt the urge to buy something. She didn't deny her emotions. She just faced them. Within 3 months, she cut her impulse spending in half. Within a year, she had paid off $8,000 in credit card debt. She didn't stop shopping entirely. She just learned to do it with intention instead of emotion. Lesson: emotional spending is not empowerment. Real empowerment is when your money obeys you, not your moods. Reflection: when was the last time you bought something to feel better, only to feel worse later? What are you really craving when you spend? Validation? Control? Comfort? What if you could meet that need in a way that doesn't cost you tomorrow? Chapter 3: Designer Bags and Empty Bank Accounts. Meet Tasha. Tasha was the definition of put together. Her nails were always flawless, her hair professionally done, and her closet looked like it belonged to a fashion influencer. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Michael Kors, you name it. She wore it. Her Instagram page was a glossy gallery of luxury: champagne brunches, girls' trips to Miami, and mirror selfies with designer labels proudly on display. Her friends often complimented her. "Girl, you're killing it." The truth: Tasha was being crushed by debt. Behind the filters and high fashion, Tasha was living paycheck to paycheck. She worked a job at a marketing agency that paid $48,000 a year, but her lifestyle burned through every dollar, and then some. She financed her bags on credit. Her car was leased at a premium rate. She often paid rent late because she prioritized the look of wealth over actual financial security. Tasha wasn't trying to fool anyone maliciously. In fact, deep down, she believed that looking successful was part of becoming successful. She thought dressing the part would open doors, but the only doors opening were the ones to debt collectors. The pressure to look rich. We live in a world obsessed with optics. Social media has created a culture where success is measured in snapshots. If it's not on Instagram, did it even happen? But here's what no one tells you. You can look rich and still be broke. In fact, many of the people who look rich are living on borrowed money. According to recent studies, nearly 60% of millennials with high-end fashion items are in credit card debt. Why? Because comparison has become a financial disease. We don't spend to meet our needs. We spend to match an illusion. The psychology of appearance spending. This type of spending is called conspicuous consumption, buying expensive things to display social status. And it works. People treat you differently when you appear wealthy. You're perceived as more successful, more confident, even more trustworthy. But the cost? Everything. Tasha started to experience it firsthand. She ignored medical bills to keep up with her aesthetic. She stopped contributing to her retirement account to afford monthly shopping sprees. She avoided phone calls from creditors. Eventually, the pressure cracked her confidence. She wasn't sleeping. Her anxiety skyrocketed. The image she worked so hard to build had become her prison. Her breaking point. One afternoon, while checking out at the grocery store, her credit card was declined. Not once, not twice, but 4 times. She left the cart behind and cried in the parking lot. For the first time in her adult life, she realized no one's opinion is worth being broke over. The rebuild. Tasha took a hard look at her life. She started unfollowing influencers who made her feel inferior. She sold many of her high-end bags online to pay off debt. She began watching personal finance videos instead of makeup tutorials. She went from shopping to signal wealth to investing to build it. 1 year later, she had a savings account, a growing investment portfolio, and, more importantly, a sense of peace she never felt before. Lesson: a designer lifestyle with a dollar store bank balance isn't success. Wealth isn't what you show, it's what you grow. Reflection: are you spending money to impress people you don't even know or don't even like? What would it feel like to have real freedom instead of a curated image? Chapter 4: Broke by Birthday. Meet Jordan. He was the kind of friend everyone loved to be around. Energetic, generous, and always planning the next big thing. His birthdays were legendary. Vegas one year, Cancun the next. Yacht parties, bottle service, and hotel suites were the norm, not the exception. Each celebration came with a new slogan, "It's my birthday. I deserve this." And to an extent, he was right. Life is short. Celebrations matter. Milestones should be honored. But there was a problem. Jordan was financing every one of those parties, with credit cards, personal loans, and buy now, pay later apps. The celebrations looked like freedom, but they were shackled in debt. And every time the high wore off, reality came knocking with interest. The social pressure of milestones. Birthdays, weddings, graduations. These moments are emotionally charged. They symbolize growth, transformation, and status. But in today's world, they also come with expectations and a whole lot of pressure. Everyone wants their event to be one for the books, and social media has made the stakes even higher. It's not enough to celebrate. It has to be aesthetic. It has to be Instagrammable. And often, it has to look expensive. For Jordan, birthdays became a performance. He told himself the over-the-top expenses were worth it because they made people happy. But deep down, they were masking something else. Fear of seeming less than. Fear of not living up to an image he had created. The year everything crashed. On his 30th birthday, Jordan planned a trip to New York City with 12 friends. He booked a luxury Airbnb, reserved bottle service at one of the city's top clubs, and paid up front for everyone's dinner at a 5-star steakhouse. He didn't tell anyone that he had just been laid off from his job 3 weeks earlier. He was too proud. He thought, "It's my 30th. I can't not go big. Everyone's expecting this." The trip cost him over $7,500. His savings were drained. His credit cards were maxed. And the following month, when his car broke down, he didn't have the money to fix it. He had to borrow money from his mother, something he swore he'd never do again. That moment, the embarrassment, the silence over the phone, the sting in his chest, was his breaking point. The guilt that follows the fun. Here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Sometimes after the party comes the panic. After the trip, the tears. After the toast, the tight chest and the late-night budgeting. And the worst part? You're often too ashamed to tell anyone, because everyone thinks you're living your best life. But the truth is, you're living your loudest life while quietly drowning. Redefining celebration. Jordan didn't stop celebrating. He just changed how. The next year, he threw a backyard cookout. Nothing fancy, just burgers, cornhole, and music with friends. He spent less than $200 and had more fun than he ever did on a rooftop. Why? Because he wasn't performing. He wasn't paying for approval. He was present. That cookout marked the beginning of a new tradition. Budget-conscious birthdays that focused on connection, not consumption. And surprisingly, his friends didn't care. They were just happy to be together. Lesson. There's nothing wrong with celebrating until the celebration becomes sabotage. Create memories, not debt. You don't need a $10,000 weekend to feel valuable. You don't need a destination party to feel loved. What makes a moment special isn't the price tag. It's the attendance. Reflection. Think about the last time you celebrated big. Did the experience match the cost? Were you trying to make yourself happy or impress other people? What would it look like to honor your life without damaging your future? Because the best gift you can give yourself on your birthday is peace of mind. Chapter 5. Subscription trap and silent drains. Meet Sarah. Sarah wasn't reckless with money, or so she thought. She didn't splurge on designer bags. She wasn't booking exotic vacations. She lived modestly, drove a used car, and brought her lunch to work most days. But at the end of every month, she had the same problem. Her paycheck disappeared. Every time she checked her bank account, the numbers didn't add up. She'd think, I didn't even spend that much this month. Did I? Then one Sunday, she sat down with her laptop, a spreadsheet, and her bank statements. She was determined to figure it out. That's when the silent thieves revealed themselves. Streaming services, meal delivery plans, app subscriptions, online storage, an old gym membership she hadn't used in 10 months, digital newspapers, premium music, cloud storage upgrades, a meditation app, a subscription box she forgot she signed up for. The total? $273.48 per month. She was paying over $3,200 a year, without realizing it. Death by 1,000 cuts. It's not always the big-ticket items that ruin people financially. Sometimes it's the quiet, invisible charges, the ones that fly under the radar, the ones you promise to cancel after the free trial, but never do. This is called financial leakage, and in today's subscription economy, it's everywhere. Businesses bank on your forgetfulness. They know if they charge you just $9.99 a month, you probably won't notice or care. But over time, that adds up to thousands of dollars wasted on things you don't use, don't love, and don't need. Why we let it slide. Subscriptions are psychologically sticky. They're only a few bucks. They provide a dopamine boost. They come with no painful moment of checkout. And because the charges are automatic, we disconnect from the decision. It feels passive, but your money is actively bleeding out. The wake-up call. Sarah decided to go full audit mode. She made a rule. If she hadn't used it twice in the last 30 days, it was canceled. She unsubscribed from 12 services that same day. Then she created a simple rule for the future. No subscription unless it saves time, improves health, or earns money. This small shift gave her back over $3,000 a year. But more than that, it gave her clarity. She no longer felt like her money was disappearing without explanation. She felt in control again. The hidden danger of normalized spending. Here's the thing. Sarah's situation isn't rare. In fact, it's so common, we've normalized it. People are proud of how minimal their lifestyle looks, yet carry dozens of passive drains in the background. It's like filling your bathtub with the drain open. You can keep pouring in more money, but it'll never feel full. Lesson. YOLO isn't just about flashy spending. It's about being mindful of all your money. Your small leaks may be sinking your entire ship. Reflection. Take 15 minutes to audit your subscriptions. Ask yourself, when did I last use this? Does this add lasting value to my life? If I canceled it today, what would actually change? Don't let your money trickle away while you're not looking, because peace of mind isn't just about making more. It's about losing less. Chapter 6. Emergency, no plan, no cushion. Meet Jake. He had what most would call a great setup, an $80,000 a year salary, a trendy apartment, a car he loved, friends who admired his confidence and lifestyle. Jake wasn't rich, but he was doing okay. He never worried about money because the paychecks kept coming, until the day he ended up in the emergency room with sharp, stabbing pain in his lower abdomen. Appendicitis. He needed emergency surgery. The good news? The operation was successful. The bad news? Jake had a $5,800 medical bill after insurance. He didn't have it. Not even close. So he did what many people do. He put it on a credit card. The interest was brutal. Within 6 months, the $5,800 became $6,900. Within a year, it ballooned to over $8,000 because he could only afford the minimum payments. What hurt most wasn't the bill, it was the realization. He had no cushion. The illusion of stability. Jake thought he was secure because his lifestyle looked good on the outside, but he had no savings, no backup plan. And like so many, he assumed things would always be fine. He wasn't alone. According to national surveys, over 60% of Americans wouldn't be able to cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing or using credit. That's not just dangerous, it's financially fatal. Because emergencies aren't a question of if, they're a question of when. Why we avoid saving. There's a psychological resistance to emergency funds. People think, it's boring. I'll save later. I need to enjoy life now. Some even feel like saving for bad days is negative thinking. But here's the truth. Emergency funds aren't for bad days. They're for freedom on any day. They give you options. They give you peace. They allow you to walk away from bad jobs, avoid bad debt, and bounce back from surprises. Without them, every small emergency becomes a crisis, and every big emergency becomes a catastrophe. What Jake did next. After that experience, Jake changed everything. He moved to a more affordable apartment. He stopped leasing cars and started saving for a used one. Most importantly, he set up a dedicated emergency fund and committed to putting aside $250 per month, non-negotiable. Within a year, he had $3,000 saved. Within 2, over $7,000. Now, he doesn't worry about flat tires, medical visits, or sudden layoffs. He has options. He has breathing room. And most importantly, he has confidence. Emergency funds. The real flex. Having money in the bank that you don't touch isn't weak. It's power. It's the difference between stress and strategy. It's the ultimate insurance policy against life's curveballs. Lesson. A good life today includes protecting your future. The ultimate freedom isn't found in spending. It's found in being prepared. Reflection. If you had a $1,000 emergency today, could you cover it without panic? If not, what can you start doing this month to build your buffer? How much more confident would you feel with even $500 in a separate account, just for life's surprises? Because life doesn't warn you before it punches you in the face, but a cushion softens the blow. Chapter 7. The Illusion of Freedom. Meet Brianna. She had always been fiercely independent. Raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to survive, Brianna vowed she would live differently. She didn't want to pinch pennies or live in fear of not enough. She wanted freedom, adventure, choice. By 29, she had it, at least on the surface. She traveled often, ate out whenever she wanted, had a walk-in closet full of stylish clothes and high-end handbags. She told herself that this was freedom, that being able to say yes to everything meant she had finally made it. But what Brianna didn't realize is that what she called freedom was actually debt. Freedom or financed? Brianna had 4 credit cards, all with high limits and even higher balances. She financed her vacations, her car, her furniture, and even her groceries sometimes. Yet in public, she smiled. She posted her lifestyle proudly on Instagram. She used captions like, "Just booked a spontaneous trip, #freedom. If it makes you happy, it's worth it. Can't take it with you, might as well spend it." But when her rent was late and the collectors started calling, it no longer felt like freedom. It felt like a trap. Debt, the silent jail cell. There's a dangerous myth being sold everywhere, that freedom means being able to buy whatever you want, whenever you want. But here's the truth. If your freedom is paid for with debt, it's not freedom. It's a loan. Debt is a silent prison. There are no bars, but it keeps you stuck. It robs your sleep, your peace of mind, and your future opportunities. Brianna couldn't take time off when she wanted to. She couldn't quit a toxic job because her bills were too high. She even stayed in an unhealthy relationship longer than she should have because she felt she couldn't afford to be alone. All while still posting #freedom. The breaking point. One night, after attending a friend's wedding across the country on a credit card, Brianna sat alone in her hotel room, staring at her banking app. She had $12.76 in checking. Her next credit card payment was due in 2 days. Her minimum due was $525, and she didn't have it. She broke down in tears, not because she was broke, but because she felt like a fraud. She had built a life that looked free, but was really a performance on borrowed time. That night was her moment of reckoning. What real freedom looks like. Brianna went home and made hard decisions. She sold her car and bought a used one with cash. She started budgeting, painfully at first. She said no to expensive outings, unsubscribed from sales emails, and even took on a part-time weekend job. In 1 year, she paid off over $15,000 in debt. And for the first time in her life, she breathed freely. Now, when Brianna travels, it's prepaid. When she shops, it's in cash. When she wakes up, it's without the weight of anxiety. She doesn't just post about freedom, she lives it. The empowering truth. Real freedom is quiet. It's not flashy. It doesn't always look good on Instagram, but it's powerful. It means you can leave a toxic job. You can walk away from a bad relationship. You can say yes because you want to, not because you feel pressured. It means your money serves you, not the other way around. Lesson. Don't confuse recklessness with freedom. True freedom isn't about what you can buy. It's about what you can walk away from. Reflection. What do you define as freedom? Is it really freedom, or just permission to escape through spending? If you had no credit cards tomorrow, could you still afford your current life? What would real freedom feel like if it came with no stress attached? Because the loudest freedom isn't the real one. The real one is quiet, strong, and built with purpose. Chapter 8. Smart is the new sexy. Meet Lila. In her early 20s, Lila thought being smart with money meant being boring. She'd roll her eyes when people talked about budgeting, saving, or investing. That's for accountants and old people, she'd joke. She associated being financially responsible with limitation. To her, freedom meant spending, spontaneity, and indulgence. She lived in the moment, shopping when she felt down, traveling when she was bored, and dining out because she didn't feel like cooking. But by 28, the novelty had worn off, and so did her bank balance. She made decent money, $65,000 a year, but never had more than $300 to her name. Her credit score hovered around 580. She avoided checking her statements because they gave her anxiety. And worse? She had to turn down a job offer she wanted because relocating meant upfront expenses she couldn't afford. That's when she realized something powerful. Being broke is exhausting. Being broke is boring. Being broke is what's really limiting me. That was the beginning of her transformation. the shift from instant gratification to long-term power. Lila started small. She didn't become a financial guru overnight. She downloaded a budgeting app. She canceled some of her unused subscriptions. She started tracking every dollar, something she used to think was too obsessive. But here's what shocked her. She started feeling better. She had less anxiety, more clarity, and a growing sense of control. When she built her first emergency fund of $1,000, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not from spending, but from saving. She was finally doing something for her future self. Why we think smart isn't sexy. Culture has conditioned us to believe that the only people worth admiring are the ones who spend big, look rich, and live loud. We're told, treat yourself. If you've got it, flaunt it. Money's no fun if you don't spend it. But the irony? Many of the richest people don't flaunt anything. They don't wear designer everything. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. Their peace speaks louder than any possession. And when Lila saw that, everything changed. The new confidence. Lila didn't stop enjoying life. She just started enjoying it differently. Instead of brunching 5 times a week, she learned to cook. Instead of shopping when she was emotional, she journaled. She replaced financial stress with strategy. She automated savings and started investing. The first time she saw her money make money, she felt like she had discovered a superpower. She still traveled, but with a plan, not panic. She still treated herself, but without the guilt hangover. Today, Lila has over $25,000 saved, a 750+ credit score, and 0 debt. But more importantly, she radiates confidence, the kind that doesn't need labels or likes to validate it. Smart is the new sexy. Being sexy isn't about luxury, it's about leverage. It's the ability to say no when something doesn't serve you. It's waking up without dread because your bills are paid. It's knowing you can leave a job, move cities, take time off, or help someone else because you're secure. Smart isn't stiff, it's stylish. Smart isn't restrictive, it's liberating. Smart isn't boring, it's badass. Lesson. You don't have to choose between fun and finances. Balance is the real flex. And being smart with your money? That's sexy as hell. Reflection. What beliefs do you have about money that might be holding you back? Do you associate financial wisdom with restriction or with freedom? What would it feel like to be admired, not for what you wear, but for how powerfully you live? Because the smartest thing you can do isn't to look rich, it's to build wealth quietly. Chapter 9. Building Wealth. One choice at a time. Meet Marcus. He didn't grow up with much. His parents worked hard but never talked about money, except when they didn't have enough of it. The phrase he heard most growing up was, "We can't afford that." So, when Marcus got his first decent-paying job out of college, he made a silent vow. I'm never going to live like that again. But instead of building wealth, he chased what he thought wealth looked like. A new car, fancy dinners, flashy clothes. And for a while, it felt amazing, until he realized something deeply uncomfortable. He was earning more, but somehow still broke. Every raise disappeared. Every bonus went to cover past overspending. He was stuck in a financial hamster wheel, running fast, but going nowhere. Then he asked himself a terrifying question. If I keep doing what I'm doing, where will I be in 10 years? The answer was a future he didn't want. And that's when Marcus decided to change, one small choice at a time. Wealth isn't one big move. Most people believe wealth is built by winning the lottery, selling a startup, getting a massive inheritance, or making some big secret move that flips the switch. That's a myth. In reality, most wealth is built gradually, not suddenly. It's not one lucky break. It's hundreds of micro decisions. Choosing to cook at home instead of ordering out. Canceling a $50 per month subscription you don't use. Putting $25 a week into a savings account, even when it feels small. Saying no to the expensive vacation and yes to financial peace. Wealth is a habit, not an event. Marcus's turning point. He started small, really small. Every Friday, he'd transfer $20 into savings. That was it. He called it Wealth Friday. It became a ritual. Then he started reading books on personal finance, one by one. He didn't understand everything at first, but he stuck with it. He created a budget. It was rough. It felt restrictive. But it was real. He used the 50-30-20 rule. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings and debt repayment. He opened a Roth IRA. He automated $100 a month into it, money he used to spend on impulse buys. Over time, he watched that account grow. 6 months in, he had $3,000 saved for emergencies and had paid off a credit card. 1 year in, he had over $10,000 between savings and investments. That momentum changed his entire mindset. Wealth stopped being a dream. It became a process. The compounding power of discipline. Here's the secret most people miss. Every smart money decision compounds over time, just like debt does. One skipped coffee doesn't change your life, but 300 skipped coffees, invested wisely, absolutely can. One budget month won't make you rich, but a lifestyle of intention? That builds wealth no matter your income level. Discipline, when repeated, becomes identity. And identity? That shapes your entire future. Simple wealth-building habits. You can start today. You don't need to wait until you have more money. You need to master what you have now. Here's how. Track every dollar for 30 days. Know where your money goes. Automate savings, even if it's $10 a week. Pay yourself first. Treat savings like a non-negotiable bill. Invest early. Time is more powerful than amount. Live below your means. Always. Even when your income grows. Wealth doesn't come from what you earn. It comes from what you keep and grow. Lesson. You don't need to earn more. You need to become a master of your money, one decision at a time. Reflection. Where are you making unconscious spending decisions that drain your future? What's one tiny habit you can start this week that your future self will thank you for? Because small choices compound, and so does regret. Chapter 10. Redefining the Good Life. Meet Alexis. She was the kind of person everyone admired, outgoing, stylish, always doing something exciting. Her calendar was packed with rooftop brunches, art shows, fitness classes, and weekend getaways. Her Instagram was a collage of sunsets, champagne glasses, luxury hotel robes, and witty captions. By all appearances, she was living the dream. But Alexis had a secret, one she kept even from her closest friends. She was constantly anxious about money. Not because she didn't earn enough, she made a solid income, but because every dollar she earned was already spent the moment it hit her account. Behind the designer clothes and curated life was a woman who was avoiding phone calls from credit card companies, using one credit card to pay another, secretly terrified of her landlord raising rent, living in fear of something as simple as her car breaking down. One night, while scrolling social media in bed, Alexis saw a quote that stopped her cold. "The good life isn't about looking rich. It's about waking up without anxiety." She burst into tears because she finally realized something she had been denying for years. She had been chasing someone else's definition of happiness. What is the good life? Really? We've been sold a powerful illusion that the good life means constant travel, designer everything, trendy homes and cars, eating out every night, looking like you have it all. But who decided that's what makes life good? Most of us inherited our vision of success from advertisers, influencers, and people trying to sell us something. The truth? The good life is what feels good to you, not what looks good to others. And sometimes that means peace and quiet, paid off debt, freedom to say no, breathing room in your budget, knowing your future is secure. Alexis's redefinition. After that night, Alexis made a decision. She was going to stop chasing the aesthetic life and start creating the authentic one. She started by journaling. She wrote down what she really wanted, not what she thought she should want, not what would impress others, but what would make her feel grounded, safe, and whole. She realized she didn't actually care about 5-star hotels. She just wanted one paid-for vacation a year where she didn't have to worry about money. She didn't care about looking like a fashion icon. She just wanted clothes that made her feel confident and comfortable. So she made changes. She sold off some of her luxury items. She traded expensive nights out for cozy dinners with close friends. She created a budget with a purpose behind every dollar. Within a year, her debt was cut in half. Her savings were growing. Her stress levels dropped dramatically. She wasn't just existing anymore. She was living. The real rewards of redefining rich. When you stop trying to live someone else's dream, your real life begins. The people who are truly winning with money often don't look the part. They drive older cars. They live in modest homes. They don't show off their bank balance, but it's healthy. They don't seek validation because they're secure within. The good life is options, autonomy, peace, power. Lesson. You do only live once. Make that life peaceful, powerful, and prosperous, by your own definition. Reflection. Are you chasing a life that actually matters to you, or one that was marketed to you? What would your life look like if you stripped away the pressure to impress anyone? What if the good life wasn't louder or flashier, but lighter? Because once you stop trying to look like you're living the dream, you can finally start living it. Chapter 11. Flexing for the feed. Social media's hidden debt. Meet Devin. Devin had never cared much about designer brands or luxury travel until he joined social media in a serious way. At first, it was just fun, a way to stay connected. But slowly, something changed. He began to notice how much attention other people got for their lifestyles. Trips to Italy, $200 steak dinners, front row seats at concerts. He didn't feel envious at first, but he did feel pressure. Pressure to look like he was thriving. Pressure to keep up. Pressure to be seen. So Devin started posting more, buying more, living louder. He financed a new car, not because he needed one, but because it looked great in photos. He started tagging luxury hotels and restaurants. He upgraded his wardrobe with labels that popped on camera. His follower count grew, and so did his debt. Behind the scenes, he was struggling to pay rent, making minimum payments, dodging calls from creditors. He looked like he was living the life. But in reality, he was flexing for the feed and bleeding behind the scenes. the digital stage that destroys reality. Social media is a highlight reel, not real life. And yet, we compare our real lives to everyone else's edited moments. We don't see the loans, the credit cards, the arguments, the anxiety. We just see the glow-up, the flights, the clinking glasses, the caption, "Living my best life." But often, behind that curated image is financial chaos. Here's the harsh truth. Some people are going broke to look like they're rich, and others are quietly building wealth in silence, while no one is watching. The psychology of performance spending. When you post something and it gets attention, your brain gets a dopamine hit, just like a drug. The more likes and fire emojis, the better you feel. So you do it again and again. But soon, the audience expects more. So you raise the bar. One post becomes a lifestyle. The lifestyle becomes a lie. And the lie becomes a debt trap. You're no longer spending for yourself. You're spending for applause. Devin's reality check. It came during a weekend trip he couldn't afford. Devin had booked a luxury suite to impress a girl he liked. He posted the perfect story. Skyline view, champagne, a caption that read, "No limits, just living." But after she left, Devin sat alone in that room, panic gripping his chest. He had $114 left in his checking account, and his credit cards were nearly maxed out. He didn't feel powerful. He felt like a fraud. That night, he deleted the story, and he made a decision that changed his life. If I have to go broke to look successful, I'll never actually be successful. Choosing truth over applause. Devin stopped performing. He downsized his lifestyle. He unfollowed people who made him feel like he was always behind. He stopped trying to go viral and started going deeper, with his relationships, with his budget, and with himself. Within a year, he paid off 2 credit cards, built a small savings account, and started a side hustle that turned into a full-time business. He now lives in a smaller place, wears simple clothes, and drives a paid-off car. He doesn't post as often, but when he does, it's real. Social media isn't evil, but it is dangerous. It's not wrong to share your life online. It's not bad to enjoy nice things. What's dangerous is when you let the need to be seen become the reason you lose control of your finances. Because when you spend for the audience, the applause is temporary. But the debt? That stays. Lesson. Don't trade your real peace for digital praise. Quiet wealth is more powerful than loud debt. Reflection. Who are you spending money for? What's driving your purchases, joy or the need to be seen? What if the greatest flex wasn't what you post, but what you own in silence? Because the people with real power aren't always the ones showing it. They're the ones building it when no one's looking. Chapter 12. Credit Card Confidence, the Mirage of Fake Wealth. Meet Omar. Omar was the life of every party. He always picked up the tab, ordered the best food, and wore the freshest clothes. People around him would often say, "Man, Omar's doing well for himself." And that's exactly what he wanted them to think. But what no one saw was the plastic behind his power. Omar didn't have wealth, he had credit. 5 different credit cards, all with high limits, and every one of them nearly maxed out. He once joked, "If credit card points were currency, I'd be a millionaire." But secretly, he was drowning. The illusion of money. Credit cards can feel like magic. No cash? No problem. Want it now? Swipe the card. Can't afford it? Swipe anyway. In a moment, you can create the illusion of having money you don't actually have. That illusion, it's seductive, dangerous, and all too common. Many people, like Omar, use credit to fake a lifestyle they can't sustain. But here's the hard truth. Confidence based on borrowed money is a house built on sand. It might stand for a while, but the cracks always show. The emotional side of credit. Omar didn't spend to be reckless. He spent to feel important. Growing up, he never had much. Hand-me-downs, government cheese, eviction notices. As an adult, he swore he'd never feel less than again. And for him, credit cards were a way to rewrite his story. Until they started writing one of their own. He began juggling balances, shifting debt from one card to another, opening new accounts just to make minimum payments. His credit score began to plummet, and so did his self-esteem. The man who once felt untouchable now avoided looking at his statements. Every swipe made him flinch. He wasn't buying things anymore. He was buying time. When the bill comes due. The breaking point came when Omar was declined for a rental application. The landlord said, "Your credit history is a red flag." He felt exposed, ashamed, powerless. The image he'd spent years building collapsed in one moment, because the truth was in the numbers all along. The comeback. Omar made a hard decision. He cut up every credit card except one. He created a debt snowball plan, started living lean, took on extra freelance gigs. Every extra dollar went to debt repayment. It took 2 years, but he did it. He paid off over $35,000 in credit card debt. And the best part? The confidence he has now isn't bought. It's built. He no longer needs a platinum card to feel powerful. He knows exactly how much he has, and he knows how to grow it. Lesson. If your confidence comes from credit cards, it's not confidence, it's a mirage. Real power is knowing what you can afford, and being okay walking away. Reflection. What are you using credit for? Convenience, or to cover a lifestyle you can't afford? If your cards were taken away today, would your life fall apart? What would it feel like to wake up debt-free and truly confident? Because a high limit is not the same as high value. And approval doesn't mean freedom, it means you're being watched. Conclusion. From impulse to impact. Let's be honest, this audiobook wasn't easy to listen to. It probably made you uncomfortable at times. Maybe it forced you to face things you've been avoiding. Credit card balances, late payments, emotional spending, or the quiet fear that your lifestyle is a little too fragile. But that's the point, because awareness is the first step to freedom. What you've learned. You've heard stories, real people, real mistakes, real turnarounds. You've seen the dangers of living for the moment with no plan, letting emotions run your money, spending to impress people who aren't even watching, mistaking debt for confidence, confusing Instagram-worthy with life-worthy. And through it all, you've learned the truth. You can enjoy life and still protect your future. You can celebrate and still build security. You can live free, but only if your money isn't your master. You don't have to be perfect, just aware. This isn't about guilt, it's about growth. You're not weak because you made mistakes. You're wise because you're willing to change. Every smart choice you make, no matter how small, starts to shift your trajectory. You don't need a lottery win. You don't need a 6-figure job. You need consistency, self-awareness, and the courage to say, "I'm done pretending. I'm ready to own my future." What happens next? Audit your spending. Kill silent leaks. Build an emergency fund, even if it's $10 at a time. Stop performing. Start planning. Make your money a reflection of your priorities, not your fears. Final thought. You only live once. But that's not a reason to go broke. It's the reason to live wisely. Because the real flex isn't the outfit, it's peace. The real power isn't in the post, it's freedom. And the real glow-up isn't looking rich, it's being free. Quietly, consistently, and powerfully. Now go live that life.